You're welcome to my channel. I am GB Bello. In this video, I'll be doing a female trouser with an elastic band. Now, if you want to take your measurement, take your full length from your waist to your heel or ankle. Make sure it is not short. Then take your thigh circumference measurement. Make sure you allow like 2 inches freeness into your tape rule. Then take your knee circumference measurement. Also allow like 2 inches into your tape rule. Then you can use a standard measurement on your ankle, either 14, 15 or 16 for a female, depending on how big the person is. This one now, the hip is 36, so I can freely use 14 inches for the ankle. Don't also forget to take measurement of your knee length, which is from your waist to your knee. So now let's come to the table and I'll start measuring my trousers. Now the first thing I'm going to do is to measure 2 inches, which I'm going to use for I'm going to draw a line first. Then I'll measure 2 inches for the elastic band. I'll also draw a line. Then the next thing will be to draw my length. The length is 34 inches and it's going to start from here. Length is 34 inches. I'm going to take it down. Then I'm adding 2 inches as well for the ankle allowance or the hem allowance. Now let me come back to the top again. You know, I started from here, 2 inches. This is going to be your waistline. Then from my waistline, I'm measuring my crowd depth. Crowd depth here for this trouser is 10 inches. If you need to know your crowd depth, you can get the trouser and tunic workbook. There is a table there for how you can determine your crouch depth. So it's 10 inches, so I've measured 10 inches. Then on my crouch line, that 10 inches is going to be my crouch line. Then I will measure my thigh circumference divided by 2. Thigh here is 23, divided by 2 is 11.5. 11.5. Now this is 11.5 and I'm going to measure 1.5 backward from that 11.5. 1.5 backward will be here, which I'm going to rule up to my waistline, then also to the 2 inches for the waistband. Very good. Now I'm going to draw a crouch here temporarily. Make sure you use a curve so it can be straight. Now the hip of this trouser is 36. 36 divided by 4 is going to be 9. Now how do I know where I'll do my hip line? I'll measure 3 inches from my crouch line, which I'm also going to rule. You can see I've ruled it, which is going to be my hip line. Then on that hip line, I will measure my 9 inches, 36 divided by 4. Hip is 36 divided by 4. So I will now draw the real crouch curve. Before I draw the crouch curve, let me rule it up. The way I ruled up the first one. Then I'll use my curve to do the crouch curve. Very good, you can see it now. So I'm not going to use this first crouch curve. I'm going to use this back one. Now the next thing, I'm going to my knee. How do I know my knee length? You can measure your waist from your waist to your knee on the person you are sewing for to know your knee length. And also you can also subtract the distance between your crouch line and your ankle line divided by 2, then you take away 1 from 8. So here I have this distance here is 24 divided by 2, that's 12. 12 minus 1 is going to give me 11. So I'm going to rule that place too, which is my knee line. This is my knee line. Now my knee here is 16, but before I measure the knee, I'll leave 1 inch behind. Then 16 divided by 2, which is 8, I'll measure it Then I can now go to my ankle. Before I measure, this is my ankle line where my length stops. My length of 34 inches stop is my ankle line. This is my knee line. This is my ankle line. Then I have 2 inches after hit for my ME allowance. So on my ankle, before I measure my ankle, I'll also leave 1.5 inch. 1.5 inch. Then I'll measure my ankle circumference is 14 divided by 2, that will be 7. I'll measure 7 inches. Then I can now connect these lines. Let me start from the knee, crouch to the knee. I want to connect the dots. You can use a long ruler. Then from knee to my ankle now. Very good. Then let me do the one at the front. Okay, so I have all my measurement completed now. And then the last thing is to cut. Okay, I'm cutting now. So you cut from your waist, from the what you left for your waistband, the 2 inches on top. Then I'm coming to this other side. Okay, so I'm done cutting my front pattern. I'll now use this now to cut my back pattern. I've cut the front pattern and now I'm using the front pattern to cut the back pattern, which is easy. So I've positioned it on the pattern paper. Now the first thing I'm going to do, because of the back, you will need to measure 2 inches here on top for the back pattern that you are going to slant, either 1.5 or 2 inches. You are going to measure it on top on this side, which you are going to slant like this. If you are on the big side, or if the person is on the big side, make sure you add 2 inches on top. If the person is maybe not too big, you can add just 1.5 like I added just now. So after doing this slant on top, do it and slant it to the edge. After doing this slant on top, the next thing is to add 2 inches in front of my crouch line. 2 inches in front of my crouch line. I'm adding 1.5 inches in front of my knee line. Then I'll add just 1 inch in front of my ankle line. Then I'm coming again to the hip part. The same 2 inch that I added on the crouch line, I'm adding it here too. So I'm going to connect all those dots later. So I've connected all those. I've dotted it. Now I'll shift my pattern to the dot. Can see the way everything rhymed on the leg. Can see on the leg, on the crouch line, and then on the upper part too. Do you understand? Don't forget the extension here. So my slant is going to be by that extension too. Then it's better to first of all mark it before you cut. And if you know your hand is smooth, you are a sharp cutter, you can also cut directly, but I'm going to mark it first. Then I'm going to leave it there and cut it. Okay, let me cut it directly. I'm starting from the slant. Don't forget the slant on the back pattern. Then I'm going to cut down. Cut it gently. Okay, I've cut that part. Then don't forget the shape at the back of the pattern too. You know, there is a shape here. The back of the pattern has been shaped already before when we were doing the front pattern. So don't forget that shape too. And that's what I'm doing here. So you can make the leg of your trouser to be very smart. That's what it does. It will make it to be very smart. Very good. So I have both my front pattern and my back pattern ready now. And the next thing is to go and cut our fabric, and then we will go and sew.